Hello all. In today's video we are going to look at the different questions related to the SQL, or we can say the interview questions and answers which are very important or which are frequently asked while facing the interview. So first mostly asked question is what is meant by SQL. So SQL is nothing but a structured query language. Okay, so SQL is a database tool that can be used to create and access the database and support the software application. Means, for example, some information is stored in the database, right? Some data or record is stored in the database, and I want to retrieve that particular database. So this particular SQL is used. So generally, this SQL is used to create a database, new table, create new table, insert records in database, update the record or delete the record. So SQL is used to retrieve the data from database by executing the query. So you can also tell them the SQL is nothing but a structured query language, and it is used or it is a standard language for accessing and manipulating the database by using SQL. So the next most important question is what are the uses of SQL? So the different use of SQL is create a new database, then create a new tables in database, inserting record, updating record, deleting record, retrieving the record, then creating store procedure, creating a views, then we can say executing different queries by combining the different queries to get a specific result, then to set a different permissions. In short, to create database, update database, or retrieve particular database information from database, the SQL is used. Then the next most important question is what is meant by database? Database is nothing but a collection of data or information which is stored in such a way that we can access it immediately or within a short span of time. It is also defined as it is a collection of tables, schemas, views, store procedure, or other database related object. Then what is meant by DBMS? So DBMS stands for Database Management System, as whatever the data is stored in the database, to manage that the DBMS is used. So which DBMS is a program, or we can say it is used to maintain or monitor or to create a database, and it can also act as a file manager where all data is kept, and by as per the demand of user we can easily retrieve the information. So what are the different database management systems are available in the market? So the most popular DBMS system are like Oracle, MySQL, then Microsoft SQL Server, MongoDB, DB2, Microsoft Access, PostgreSQL. Like that, the different database management systems are available in the market. Then the most important question is what is meant by RDBMS? So RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management System. So it is a RDBMS. It also includes the DBMS. So what is meant by R? So data from relational database can be accessed by using structured query language is nothing but a RDBMS. So here the extra thing is relational database. Generally here the data is included or stored in the table format. So always keep in mind the RDBMS is a database management system that is based on the relational model is the most important thing you have to remember. Then the most important question is what is meant by database engine. So database engine is, we can say, it's one kind of software. It stores and retrieves the data in database. It may contain, you can say, it is a part of DBMS that performs the storage and retrieval. The retrieval of operation is nothing but a database engine. Then the main question is what is meant by database testing. So in database testing is also known as a backend testing. So in database testing is segmented into, we can say, or categorized into four categories like testing the data integrity, data validity, then database related performance or testing the functions, procedures or triggers or the different objects related to the database is nothing but a database testing. Then the most important question is, what are the different types of SQL command? So different types of SQL command, this is mostly or we can say frequently asked question. So the most important SQL commands are DDL, DML, DQL, DCL and TCL. So what is mean by DDL? DDL is nothing but a data definition language. Then DML is nothing but data manipulation language. DQL is nothing but a data query language. DCL is nothing but a data control language and TCL is nothing but a transaction control language. So you can say these are the different types of SQL commands. Or then the next question is, what are the different clauses used in SQL? So first we need to understand what is meant by clause. So clause is nothing but we can say it's a limit or restriction that query result into specified condition. Means I want to retrieve a data but with specific condition. Means for example in databases having a hundred of student information, but I want the information of student whose name is XYZ. Means I'm retrieving the data but by putting some condition is nothing but a clause. So there are different clauses are available like group by clause. So it is used for aggregation or to arrange identical data in the group. Or means for example I want a student information having the we can say division named as a. So this is nothing but a group by. Then having clause means it is used to specify a search condition in group by clause. So having can be used in the absence of group by clause by using where clause. Means if you have to use a having with the combination you have to use a where clause. Then what is meant by order clause? Order by clause. So it sorts the result in ascending. By default it is sorting the result into ascending order, but if you want to descending you have to use the keyword DESC. Then the where clause is also used to retrieve the data with a specific condition. So here in this particular video I am only focusing on the theoretical question, but in next video I am going to show you how to execute the queries or the mostly asked queries which are generally asked in the interview. So here we are only focusing on the theory part. Then the most important question is, what are the tables in SQL? So table is nothing but a collection of records which will get into a single view is nothing but a tables. Then what is meant by query? A query is nothing but a request which is used to retrieve the information from database. This is the simplest definition of query. Then what is meant by subquery? A subquery is nothing but a query within another query, or you can say it's a subset of query. Then what are the different types of subqueries are available? So two different types of subqueries are available like correlated and no non-correlated query. So correlated query means what? A correlated subquery is a query that use values from outer query because they are we can say correlated, and non-correlated means which both outer and inner queries are independent of each other. So I will tell you one example. For example, you have written a information like you have to retrieve the data from two different tables. At that time you want to retrieve a data of student having roll number 10. Okay, and his address is stored in some another query. So at that time you are combining or joining two tables. So this is nothing but a correlated, means you have to correlate the two fields. But in non-correlated you need not to worry about the correlation, or both are independent queries. Then what are the different types of statements supported by SQL? So actually the answer of different types of SQL command and SQL statements supported by SQL are same. Means here you have to answer the statements or the you can say commands like DDL, DML, DCL. Okay, so what is meant by DDL? DDL is nothing but a data definition language. So it is used to define the database structure. Okay, and it includes the different statements like create, alter, drop. So always remember, DDL is nothing but a data definition language, means it represents the structure of database. Then DML means data manipulation language. So DML stands for data manipulation language, and it is used to manage the data within schema object. So it includes the insert, update, delete like statement. Then what is meant by DCL? DCL is nothing but a data control language, and and is a component of SQL that controls the access to data stored in database. So there are generally two DCL commands, that is grant and revoke. So grant is used to access the database, and revoke stops the permission for accessing the database. Then the main question is, what is the difference between DDL and DDL? What are the different DDL commands? So different DDL commands are create, alter, drop, truncate and rename. So create is used to create the database or database object, like create a table, create database. Alter is used to alter the database object. So database objects means database, table, views, stored procedures like that. Drop is used to drop the database and its object. Truncate is used to remove all the records, and rename is used to rename the database object. Then what are the different DML commands? Different DML commands are select, insert, update and delete. Select is used to select the specific information from database. Insert is used to add a new records. Update is used to update the existing information or record, and delete is used to delete the existing record. Then what are the different DCL commands? Grant, revoke. So grant is to provide the user access, and revoke is used to remove the user access. But there is also one command is there, that is deny, means deny the permission to user. Then what are the different TCL commands? TCL is nothing but transaction control language. It includes two commands, commit and rollback. Commit means to write and store the changes to database, and rollback means restore the database where it seems commit. In short, the commit means you are saving the changes, and rollback means what? At what point you have committed, you can roll back from that particular point. Then next important question is, how many aggregation functions are available in SQL? So there are total 7 aggregation functions available in SQL. So what are that? Like average means returns the average of specific column. Count means number of tables or number of rows available. Maximum, it returns the largest value. Minimum, it returns the smallest value. Sum means it returns the sum of specific column which you have selected. Then first means it returns the first value of column, and last means it returns the last value of column. These are the different, you can say, the aggregation function. Then what is mean by join? Is the most of the favorite question of interviewer. The join means, join is a query which retrieves the column or rows or the information from multiple tables. There are different types of joins. What are the different types of join? Inner join, left join, outer join and right join are the different types of join. So what is meant by inner join? In inner join, what happens? It returns the rows where there is at least some matching data between two or more tables which are we are going to compare. And outer join means it returns the row of both the tables including the records even that are not matching, is nothing but a outer join. And what is mean by self join? Self join is nothing but it is joining in which a table is joined with itself, especially when table has having a foreign key, or it is which references to own primary key, is nothing but a self join. And cross join means what? Cross join where the rows of first table multiply with the number of rows in second table, means we are mapping the one row of first table with every other rows of second column. In that way you have to map all the rows of first column with all the rows of second column, is nothing but a cross join. Then the next question is, what is mean by normalization? So normalization is the process of a table design to minimize the data redundancy. Okay, so means avoid the duplication is nothing but the normalization. So how many normalization forms are there, or what are the different normalizations are there? So there are five normalization or five NF are available. So in first NF, it is known as a first NF, second NF, third NF, fourth NF, means first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, fourth normal form. So what happens in first normal form or 1NF? It removes all the duplicates column from the table, and it creates a table for related data and identify the unique column value. Then what is mean by we can say second NF? So it follows the 1NF and create and place data subset in an individual table and define the relationship between table using primary key. And in 3NF it follows 2NF and remove those columns which are not related through a primary key. And in 4NF it follows a 3NF and does not define a multi-value dependency. So always remember 4NF is also known as a BCNF. Then the most important question is define commit, or what is mean by commit. So commit saves all the changes made by DML statement is the definition of commit or the use of commit. Then next question is what are SQL constraints? So SQL constraints are, we can say, these are the some rules for all records in the table. So there are some constraints like not null, means for particular column you have to set a not null, means you have to enter some value there. You can't keep it as a null. Then unique means this constraint is used to ensure that each row and column has a unique value. And primary key means it must have a unique key or unique constraint which can identify a particular record with a unique identity. And foreign key means it is used to ensure that the referential integrity of data in a table, it matches the value of one table with another using primary key. And check is also one constraint which ensures whether the value in column fulfills a specific condition. Means for example, you have to enter the mobile number, then check whether it is having a 10 digit is a check constraint. Then the next question is what is mean by index and what are the different types of index. So index means you can say it's a method which allows for faster retrieval of information from table. So it is a one kind of SQL statement by using that I can retrieve the information in very fast way. So different indexes like cluster index, non-cluster index, unique index, filter index, hash index means it is like we can say it is a index. For example, index of book, by looking at the index you can easily find out the contents, right? Or dictionary, by looking at the that particular thing you can easily access that particular point is nothing but an index. So same concepts works over here. Then what are the different types of indexes like unique, cluster index, non-cluster index. So unique index maintains the data integrity. Clustered index means you can say it reorders the physical order of table and search by entering a key value. And here in non-cluster index it maintains the logical order of data. Then the main important question is what is the difference between clustered and non-clustered index. So in clustered index it is a both are used to retrieve the information in faster way, right? But in cluster it is used for easy retrieval. And you can say it can only have one clustered index or column is only one column is set as a clustered index. But in non-clustered index it is quite slower than the clustered index, and it is having a multiple non-clustered index or multiple columns we can select to find out or retrieve the specific information. Then the main important question is what is mean by view. So view is a subset of table, or it stores the logical database. Means I don't want to show a whole data, I only want the information of student who are studying in A division. So it creates the view. For that I can create a view. It is like a logical snapshot. I don't want to show a whole database. Whatever the information you want, I will create the view of it and I can show it. Then what are the advantages of views? So it view occupies the no space, means instead of showing the whole database or representing a whole database, I can only show you a specific details. Then it is simple to retrieve the data, and view is also useful for restricting the unauthorized access. Means if you want a data or you are authorized to view the data of the student who are studying in the A division, then I can show you only that particular data. Then what is meant by distinct? So if I don't want or duplicate records, I want only unique records from the database, at that time I can use the distinct statement. Then what is meant by referential integrity? So referential integrity refers to a consistency that maintain between primary and foreign key. So this is nothing but a referential integrity. Then the next question is what is meant by trigger? So trigger is a SQL procedure which initiate the action and takes the response. Means for example, I want some data, then I will create a trigger, and by triggering that particular statement I will get specific thing, or specific I will retrieve the specific data. Then what is meant by sub select? So sub select is nothing but subqueries, or it is a select statement that combinedly used with another select statement, or it is also called as a nested select. Then the next thing is what is meant by stored procedures. Stored procedures are nothing but a, you can say it are the procedures or a function or collection of SQL statement which are created for database to perform a particular task. Means if I want repeatedly I want to retrieve the data of particular group of student, then I can create the function for same, or I can combinedly write the SQL statements for the same, and it is known as a stored procedure. So it is used for the faster execution. Then the most important question is trigger. Actually, we have already seen. So trigger is nothing but a SQL statements which are used to create a response to specific action performed on the table. Means for example, you have inserted particular record. Okay, then it will create a pop-up message like record inserted successfully. So this is nothing but a trigger. Then what are the different keys in SQL, or what are its different type? So key is nothing but an attribute or set of attribute that helps to identify the rows in the table. So different keys like primary key, which uniquely identify the table. Then super key is a group or the group or the single key which identifies the rows in the table. Candidate key which uniquely identifies the tuples. Then foreign key, you can say a column that create the relationship between two table, and the purpose of foreign key is to maintain the data integrity. Then compound key, when two or more attributes that allow uniquely identify a specific record. These are the different key types. Then the most important next question is, can table have multiple foreign key? So yes, table can have a multiple foreign key. Then what is the difference between unique and primary key? So you can say primary key, that can be, there should be only one primary key. Okay, and in table, whereas there can be a many unique keys in the table is the most important thing. And primary key cannot be null, means you have to enter a values for that particular column, but unique key can be null. Then the most important question is what is meant by transaction and what are its controls. So transaction can be defined as a sequence of tasks that is performed on the database to gain or to retrieve a specific result. So here you can perform the operations like create, delete, update, like that. So there are different four controls like commit, means it saves the all changes. Rollbacks means it roll back the transaction. Set transaction means set the name of transaction. Save point, it is used to save point for rollback. Then what are the different properties of transaction? So acid properties are related with the transaction. So acid means, A means atomicity, means what ensures the Completeness of transaction means check whether all transactions are completed successfully. Then consistency means ensures all the changes made through successful transaction. Then isolation means what? You can say it ensures all transactions are performed independently. It cannot affect on the other transaction. Then durability means what? Ensure the changes made in database and committed transaction persist as even a system failure means even if system fails, it will durable means for example you are transferring the money, right? You have transferred the money and your system get crashed. At that time also that particular money is get, you can say at the whatever the transaction till now is done, that particular money is reflected into receiver's account. Then what is mean by table field record? A table is a collection of data which is having the rows and columns. Rows are known as a records and column are known as a field. You have to remember row is known as a record and column is known as a field. Then what is the difference between delete, truncate and drop? So delete is used to delete a particular row in the table. Truncate is used to delete all the rows and drop is used to delete or drop the structure of table. Then what is mean by cursor? Cursor is, you can say it's a name, or is a cursor is a database object, or it's a handle which is used to manipulate the data in a row by row manner. Or here Oracle parse or fetch the query result. So cursor have the different, we can say steps like declare cursor, then open the cursor, then retrieve the row, then process that particular row, then close the cursor. So this is nothing but a cursor is a database object which is used to manipulate the data row by row. Then what is mean by scalar function? So scalar functions are used to return a single value based on the input. So uppercase, it convert the specific field into uppercase, lowercase, mid, format, length. These are the functions. Means by selecting particular tuple, you can process it. Means for example, the name is written in lowercase and you want to convert into uppercase, then you can write a u case and that particular row or the tuple. It can process it. Then what is meant by clauses in SQL? So the different clauses are like where clause and having clause. Then what is the difference between union and union all? So the difference between union and union all is in when you do a union, it avoid the duplicate records. It can only returns the distinct result. And in union all, it returns the all rows including duplicate. Means it can returns duplicate record as well. And what is meant by SQL injection? SQL injection is one kind of database attack where by modifying the query, the attacker can retrieve the specific or sensitive data is nothing but a SQL injection. Like instead of writing password, they can write down the module sign and something is equal to like that. Or some modified query are nothing but the SQL injection means to intend by intention of retrieving a data which for what you are not having the access is done by the attacker is known as a SQL injection. Then what is meant by parsing? Parsing is nothing but checking the syntax. Checks the privileges and allocating private SQL areas. Then what is the difference between SQL and PLSQL? So SQL is a structured query language. And PLSQL comes with a procedural concept. And what is the difference between SQL and MySQL? SQL is a structured query language which is used for manipulating and accessing the relational database, and MySQL is also a relational database that uses the SQL as the standard database language. Then what are the indexes? Different types of indexes. So different types of indexes like B tree, bitmap, clustered, non-clustered index. Then what is mean by data driven test? Data driven test means in a data table to test multiple number of data driven test is used. Means by using that particular data driven test you can easily replace the parameter at the same time with a different location is nothing but a data driven test. Then what is meant by temp table? Temp table is nothing but temporary storage or temporary table you are creating to store a specific information. Then what is meant by city? City is nothing but a common table expression. It contains a temporary result which can defined by a SQL statement. Then if you want to avoid duplicacy, then you have to use a distinct keyword. Then what are the string functions in different SQL? The different string functions like len, which returns the length of string. Lower, it converts the character into lowercase. Uppercase, substring. Ltrim, ltrim means it removes the beginning of string. Rtrim means it removes the end of the string. Then concatenation. These are the different functions of SQL related to string function related to SQL. Then what is meant by collection? So it is a set of rule that define how particular data is stored. Is means way of storing the data is nothing but a collection. So these are the different theoretical questions which are generally asked in SQL interview. So as soon I will create another video on mostly asked SQL queries in interview. Please do subscribe to our channel. Please like and comment and share the channel. Thank you all.